Good morning, I'm Pastor Allen. It's Tuesday, October 13th, and we're looking at Matthew's Gospel, chapter 16, verses 32, which is the 7 woes of Jesus, and today is woe number 7 of 7. So this will be the last woe, and we'll finish up this study. Verse 29, and we're looking at verses 29 through 32. Beginning in verse 29. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build tombs for the prophets and decorate the graves of the righteous. And you say, if we had lived in the days of our ancestors, we would not have taken part with them in shedding the blood of the prophets. So you testify against yourselves that you are the descendants of those who murdered the prophets. Go ahead then, complete what your ancestors have started. And so Jesus begins, calls them hypocrites again, and then he says, you build. See, they honored the graves, or really monuments, because they built monuments on top of the graves, much like we do for putting tombstones on graves, but they did it for a different reason. It was an actual monument to honor the murdered or martyred prophets. See, it was their ancestors that killed the prophets. The prophets would come and tell them what God wanted from them, and they didn't like it, and they killed them. They didn't listen to them. And so the Pharisees and the teachers of the law knew what the prophets had said because it was written down in the Old Testament, and we know what they said because we have it in our Old Testament part of the Bible. And they didn't listen to them, they didn't do what they said, and most of the time they disagreed with them and killed them. And so the current generation was building these monuments to them. But they, in turn, were not listening to what was written in the prophets. They weren't listening and doing what the Old Testament said to do. And they weren't even listening to the greatest prophet that was there standing among them, Jesus himself. And so they were currently, during that period, building and rebuilding these monuments as a way of gaining favor for the people. In other words, they did it. They said, oh, look what I did. I did this monument. Don't you like me? Don't you think this was a good thing to do? So they were doing it to build favor among the people for themselves. They also said that they would not have killed the prophets like their ancestors did. Yet, in a few days, they would be willing and calling for the crucifixion of Jesus. Now, in our day, today, right now, many Christians, Christ followers, make a similar claim, or make a similar mistake. They don't listen to the Old Testament or the New Testament. They don't do what it says. But they say that they would not have reacted like the disciples often did. In other words, with their disbelief and their questioning, they wouldn't have done that, or we wouldn't have done that. And they would have reacted differently from the crowd that called for the crucifixion of Jesus. And then verse 31, the teachers of the law and Pharisees said it themselves. We would have acted differently. The problem is here's their chance. They could be and should be acting differently, but they're not. But they're saying, oh, we would have acted differently. We would do things differently. And that's one of the reasons why Jesus was calling them a hypocrite, because they said one thing and they did another. But the things they were doing, the things that they were teaching, reflected in more ways than one exactly what their fathers had done in killing the prophets and in ignoring the prophets. And so in verse 32, Jesus tells them to go ahead. He says, go ahead then and complete what your ancestors started, because he knew they wanted to kill him. So he says, go ahead and do and finish what you started. But for us, he's telling us we have a chance. We have a choice. And we can choose to be different by following Jesus and doing what it says in the Bible. And that is what Jesus is asking us to do by pointing out these 7 woes. And may he never say that. Call us hypocrites. Call us false. May that never happen to us. And the simple way to avoid that is just to do what Jesus has asked us to do. Have a great day. Talk to you later.